From a parking innovation that'll change the way you drive, to a bold new green plan guaranteed to rake in big bucks, here's why Hyundai's rolling out some crazy new tech. Imagine pulling into work and you can't find a parking spot. But then, you spot a tight space between two cars where you could maybe park your car. But there's only one problem. You suck at parallel parking. Hey, we've all been there. And sometimes, no matter how many times you try to turn in and out of the spot, your car's either crooked or you're riding up the curb. If that sounds like you, then I've got some great news for you. The brilliant engineers over at Hyundai have come up with a solution. Hyundai Mobis, a company owned by Hyundai that makes car parts, released a new video of the tech they've been working on. And it's called an e-corner. The system allows all four tires of a car to turn up to 90 degrees. While they're officially calling it e-corner technology, unofficially they're calling it crab driving. When the tires are turned to a 90-degree angle, the car can actually drive sideways, similar to how a crab crawls around the sea floor. But here's where this tech gets better. When you usually turn the wheels of the car, they both move simultaneously and at the same angle, right? Well, with Hyundai's new e-corner tech, that'll no longer be the case because the system enables all four wheels to move independently. In other words, the car can maneuver in and out of any kind of parking spot no matter how tight. In the video clip, you can see Hyundai's legendary Ioniq 5 EV pull up to a parking spot, turn all four of its wheels perpendicular to the curb, and just slide right in. There was no backing up, no turning the steering wheel left and right, nothing. Easy peasy. All this is possible because the Ioniq's an EV. With ICE, or internal combustion engine cars, you can't do that. Why? Because ICE cars have too many moving parts. There's the engine, the exhaust, axles, which make it super complicated. EVs, on the other hand, are so much more simple. You've got batteries and a motor. That's it. Most EVs have a motor mounted to one or both of their axles, but the motors can also go inside the wheels. If you're having trouble visualizing this, I'll give you an example. Have you ever seen the wheels of an electric scooter or a bike? Yeah, just like that. It's a unique setup that you won't see often, but Hyundai's working on it. And if they pull it off, they're gonna see massive sales. On top of that, the brand will score brownie points with consumers for being technologically innovative, because the maneuvers this baby executes are straight up wild. And did you know that the crab crawl thing isn't the only maneuver the car can perform? Hyundai also showed us that the car can perform what's known as a zero turn. What's a zero turn? Well, it's a U-turn without the U. Basically, the car's wheels swivel outwards, and the front and rear wheels of the car spin in opposite directions. This means the car's rotating, while also staying in its place. Sure sounds great for city driving, I'll tell you that. So, if you're bad at reversing, you can just spin your car while it's still in place. That's not all, though. This crazy new tech also allows for a pivot turn. What happens is the front tires stay in place, while the back tires swing outward and move. So now the car can pivot. How cool is that? And this isn't a new concept. Believe it or not, car makers were messing around with similar designs since at least the 1930s. But since everything was so complicated, no tech was ever sophisticated enough to make it to market. And if you thought all that stuff you just heard about was really gnarly, wait until you get a load of this. Another impressive thing this car can do is diagonal driving. It's simple. All the wheels of the car turn to a 45-degree angle, and then it can drive. It's especially useful when you're trying to overtake a car. When you're on a highway trying to overtake someone, you can just drive diagonally and don't need to turn your entire car. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows for this new tech, and engineers are still working out some of the kinks and bugs. There's one big issue with e-corner tech, and that's tire wear. In traditional vehicles, when you turn the tires, the entire car moves with them as the car changes direction. And that's not as bad for the tires on a vehicle equipped with e-corner doing stationary maneuvers. E-corner technology puts unnecessary wear and tear on tires, degrades them faster, and I don't have to tell you how expensive tires are. The reason this tech is being tested is that Hyundai is going all in on electric cars. Good news, because that means EVs will be cheaper than ever before, and more people will be able to afford one. The South Korean brand is determined to expand its EV sales to more than 1.87 million cars by 2030. And the goal is to achieve a 7% EV global market share and ensure that 36% of all Hyundai and Genesis cars sold are EVs. It's the greenest and most ambitious plan Hyundai's ever come up with. and the previous target was 560,000 EVs by the year 2025. By 2030, you can expect to see 17 new EV models from the two sister brands, 11 from Hyundai and 6 from Genesis. But they're not the only players in town. Kia is also owned by the same company, and they'll be selling a lot more EVs too. But as far as Hyundai is concerned, here's what you can expect. 3 sedans including the Ioniq 6.
Introducing the all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 6 with up to 360-mile range. When it comes to EVs, we're thinking of every mile.
Sedans haven't been selling all that well in the current car market, and that's why there's 6 SUVs including the Hyundai Ioniq 7, launching in 2024. You can also expect to see a new light commercial vehicle and a new car, but the brand hasn't specified which type of car. I'm guessing it's a sports car. And as far as Genesis goes, we'll see 2 passenger cars and 4 SUVs. There's some interesting things happening at Genesis, and the luxury subdivision will be the first in the group to go all-electric by 2030. Starting in 2025, all new models launched will be fully electric, and the ICE engines will be slowly phased out. It's a massive undertaking, and it starts with the expansion of EV manufacturing capacity. So Hyundai's increasing its capacity in Korea and the Czech Republic. But most importantly, the brand's working on new facilities too. On top of that, they're working on a high-efficiency manufacturing process, with a main focus on battery tech. So folks do want EVs, but they just don't get them because they're hard to run. Short ranges and long charging times are tough to get used to, especially if you're on a road trip. There's a big difference between a 3-minute stop for gas and a 2-hour stop to recharge an EV. But Hyundai's working on it and wants to increase the procurement rate of battery. Did you know they're also working on next-gen batteries? These puppies will be able to charge faster, travel much further, and have longer replacement times than current batteries. But the last thing Hyundai's doing to ensure that EVs are the future is coming up with a bold new system called IMA, aka Integrated Modular Architecture. This system will standardize the chassis, the battery system, and the motors. So when all these things are manufactured, they'll be used in all sorts of different models. Not only will this bring down the cost of the cars, but it will make production greener. Hyundai estimates this will improve the efficiency of the new cars, reduce their cost by 35%, and their weight by 30% compared to 2021. Oh, and I almost forgot. Battery energy density will increase by 50%. I don't know about you, but when my daily driver craps out, I'm heading over to my local Hyundai dealership. So from a bold new green plan guaranteed to rake in big bucks, to a parking innovation that'll change the way you drive. That's why Hyundai's rolling out some crazy new tech.